Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassie. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we're doing my fantasy romance TBR. Every single year I dabble in some fanro, some sort of romance at some point, and it normally happens in May because I run a readathon called Smut Den, and this is co-hosted with the Late Night Crew, which is Mel and Rye, and it's all about reading books that have at least one set of smut scene. This year, I'm in a fanro mood after reading Serpent in the Wings of Night and Fourth Wing back to back and loving them, so I decided this year for Smut Den I am going to be reading fantasy romance. So I figured I would be giving you a fantasy romance TBR, just like last year when I gave you this dark romance TBR, which I will link down below if you want to check it out. If I end up not reading fanro, I still have stuff on this dark romance TBR that I plan on getting to. And I will also link the announcement video for Smut Den down below as well, but also you can just come to this video if you're looking for fantasy romance books that I am interested in. If you think that you have similar taste as me, these are some of the books that I'm interested in, so you might be interested in them too. Oh my god, this tickles my face every time it touches it. This is why I don't wear my hair like this ever, even though I think it's super cute. First, the ones I own, but there are a lot that I don't own that I'm also really excited about. The first one on this list is Daughter of No World by Carissa Broadbent. I recently read Serpent in the Wings of Night and adored it. 5 stars. I love Carissa's writing style. I find her very well thought out. Like, her words all make sense. They hit hard for me. They have deeper meanings, along with this fun romance and fun plot that just like keeps me on the edge of my seat. At least that's how I felt about Serpent in the Wings of Night, so I'm hoping that's also how I feel about the War of Lost Hearts series. This starts with Daughter of No World, and we're following our main character, Tisana? I don't know how to say it, I'm so sorry, who was sold into slavery. And this life has taught her how to kind of be brutal. She ends up killing some important man, and in order to escape her fate that probably would be death, she ends up pledging herself to this magical guild thing, I think? The Orders is what it's called, an organization of magic wielders strong enough to destroy her former masters, and to earn her place she is forced into an apprenticeship. I believe we have some kind of like mentor-mentee relationship happening here. I don't quite know if it's enemies to lovers. I think it's probably going to be more like friends to lovers, which I kind of like because I read a lot of enemies to lovers. I'm drawn to a lot of enemies to lovers. But if she can keep the banter up in a Friends to Lovers, I'm really excited for it. Serpent in the Wings of Night had just like an amazing amount of plot to romance and spicy scenes that made sense. I felt like our character work was really well done, and I'm hoping Daughter of No Worlds continues that and Carissa can continue to be one of my favorite authors. I know I said I was going to discuss ones I own, but while we're talking about Carissa, I figured I'd mention the other one that I'm interested in, which is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which is a standalone enemies to lovers book that happens within the Crown of Nyaxia series, which is the Serpent in the Wings of Night. This is a standalone except for the fact that it is technically companion novels to 5 other books written by other authors, which I think is very interesting, but at this point in time, Carissa's is the only one that I'm personally interested in. I think this follows our main character, who is an assassin. She is trained by the goddess of fate to be a killer, and when the vampire conqueror ends up on their lands, she is given one task: to infiltrate his army, get his trust, and kill him. And I'm gonna guess it's gonna go from there into a way that is not her killing him in the end, and is a much better storyline for my heart. The next one is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. I actually haven't heard a lot about this, but I'm also not on like the fantasy romance side of booktube often, so I get it like very limited. I do know Raven-haired Reader has read this, I believe. Tagline says, "Captured by a king of darkness, forced to find the light within." We are following Arwen? I hate fantasy names, especially fantasy romance female names. They like to be tricky. Who never expected to be the brave one, but offers her life instead of her brother's in order to save her brother's life. Now she is working for the brutal king, the Onyx King, and she has to like heal his armies. She's in a bit of a prison-like setting, I believe. She has to work with a fellow prisoner who may be her only path to freedom, but unfortunately he's as infuriating as he is cunning and seems to take twisted pleasure in playing on her deepest fears, which just sounds very enjoyable for the reader. And to make it out of enemy territory, she'll have to navigate backstabbing royals, dark magic, and dangerous beasts, but untold power lies inside her, dormant and waiting for a spark. If she can harness it, she just might be able to escape with her life and hopefully her heart. Sounds good. I'm in for the ride. The next one is Blood Mercy, which is Blood Grace Book 1 by Vila Roth. I've seen this one around on BookTube, specifically Becca and the Books. And this one is twonky, so it probably won't be done in Smut Den, but it is on the TBR to read at some point. I'm very obsessed with like the idea of this one. This does, I believe, have more of a cinnamon roll character than I normally like, but that's okay. I'm always excited to end up falling for something that I normally don't think I would. Like the surprise of loving something just makes it that much better, and I'm hoping that this is that one. We do have vampires, and I think I'm a vampire over fae kind of gal, but I'm not entirely sure. I need to read more of both, but I don't know what it is. I think the vampires get me. I love a blood drinking scene, specifically between some things. And this one follows Cassia, who seeks out a Hesperine. This Hesperine could end her mortal life in a heartbeat, but she has no fear of his magic or his fangs. She knows the real monster is the human king, her father. Dun dun dun, like we're already getting complicated over here. If he finds out she's bargaining with the enemy, she'll be sent straight to the executioner. What a terrible father. And then we follow Leo, who is the Hesperine diplomat, who has to negotiate with mortals who hate him, but Cassia is different, obviously, and she captivates the gentle immortal. He wants more than her blood, and if he can't resist the temptation, he'll provoke the war he's trying to prevent. This does say it's a slow burn, steamy romance meets classic fantasy world building in Blood Grace. Follow fated mates, which isn't my favorite thing, but that's okay, for a guaranteed series happily ever after. Now it does say series happily ever after, which makes me think that I'm going to hurt for a really long time before we get that happily ever after. And then we have A Crown of Ivy and Glass by Claire Legrand, who you could know for the Furyborn series, which is on my shelf but I have not read yet. I don't know what it is about Claire Legrand books, but I'm so tempted by them every single time. They just scream to me. I actually don't think that this book is out till June, and I'm not sure how I got myself a copy of it, but here we are, and it's on my TBR. This is Claire Legrand's adult fantasy debut. I'm gonna call it more new adult fantasy. That's kind of where fantasy romance, I feel like, sits. We follow Lady Gemma Ashbourne, who is part of a family that is anointed by the gods, but she's the only person in her family who doesn't have magic. In fact, her body despises it. It works against it. It's like a poison in her blood. So she's constantly ill and aching with loneliness. Gemma craves love and yearns to belong. And that's when she meets our devastatingly handsome Talon Destier, who was seduced by a demon and his family destroyed himself. These two make a deal to help each other. She will help him navigate the court if he helps her destroy the Basques. According to popular legend, a demon called the Man with the Three-Eyed Crown is behind the family's blood feud. Slay the demon, end the feud, because her family is in some epic feud, you know? That kind of stuff. This does say, perfect for fans of Bridgerton and A Court of Thorns and Roses. I love Bridgerton. I love A Court of Thorns and Roses. Sounds really good. The next book is Trials of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. This one is tagged as The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games, and like, I love The Bachelor and I love Hunger Games. I love fantasy romance comps. Like, this genre gets me all the time with their this meets this compared to any other genre. I don't know what it is, but they just they hook me. This one we follow our main character who wants nothing but revenge against the Sun King, and she is in a prison and has spent 12 years of torment. When she is kind of freed, she is put into a trial with 10 other contestants to become the Sun Queen. Win his heart, you get to be queen. And it also means that she will get freedom and be able to kill him and stab him in the back. And there's something about her having some prejudice because she's not actually from this land, and the other contestants are really hating her, which I think will lead to extra weakness in her part. Like, people will go after her more, which might lead to, I don't know, I'm speculating some things. You know, she's gonna be smarter than the rest, even if she's not brutally, if she doesn't have the brute strength. I'm excited for this one. This one sounds pretty good. And then we have Counterpart by Ella Pine. This one follows Lita, who doesn't want to be sacrificed, but there's no way out of the fate that she has. In the kingdom of Viridana, the king makes a deal with a god, royal blood, in exchange for power and prosperity. Every year, one of his children must sacrifice another to prove their loyalty. And we have Lita Lorcana, who is the bastard daughter of the king. She has known her fate from the beginning. As death from the hands of her sister looms over her, she is desperate to escape the prison that is the palace. But Lita knows she has no talent for tricking fate. But there is Pyrrhus, who is a young tutor who suddenly seems to be everywhere Lita is, and he seems to know a little bit more than she does. As Lita becomes further into her father's court, she will learn the true price she must pay for her freedom. I'm excited. I don't know. I'm excited for all of these. The last line of the synopsis says, "Blood will be spilled, but in the end, it won't just be Lita's." Ugh, so good. The next one I have is Between Wrath and Mercy by Jess Wissacup. The tagline is, "A mother will do anything to save her child, no matter the cost." Emmeline thought her daughter was prophesied to save the country, but because of this, she has kept her daughter hidden because the last person prophesied to be this person was brutally murdered. So, you know, you do what you gotta do and you hide your child when you think their life is in danger. But Alora is kidnapped by someone, and our main character, Eveline, must call upon one of the highest powers, the prince, to help her save her daughter. And of course, he's doing this because he also wants peace and prosperity in the land. I really brutalized that synopsis, but this one sounds really good. My friend Melissa recommended this to me, and so I'm excited to get to it. I know it's not fated mates, which I enjoy. I love when there's not fated mates. Then we have Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade. This is technically a YA and has no spice in it. If you are looking for spice, this is not going to be the book. There is no smut scene in this. So like, I cannot read it for Smut Den, but I wanted to put it on this book list because this is like my fantasy romance TBR currently. This one follows two girls, one who which after slaying the last queen becomes a nun and decides she wants peace. But she soon learns that peace did not happen just because you slayed one person, and that her people are still in danger. Lo, which is our nun, is left with a terrible choice: doom her soul or doom her people. Then we also follow Jaylee has been a hopeless prisoner in her own palace after her mother, the queen, was slayed. But she discovers she has some sort of power within her, and they have to end up working together, I think, to save their empire. I do not know if it's a sapphic romance. I know in the synopsis there's also something about a guard outside of the princess's room, so it could be an enemies to lovers within the guard and her. Within the overall story, it might not be the two characters falling in love, but either way, I'm excited. And it does say a swoon-worthy enemies to lovers, so I am excited about this one. And then we have Shadows of Verahida by Nikki Robb. I love a court book, and I'm really seeing it in my taste that I love a lot of court fanro. We're following a school where students reach the age of 25. They are required to pledge to one of the 7 courts. In order to figure out what court they are meant for, they do have to take a trial. After our main character gets some scores that she's not happy about, Lexa Cromwell resolves to accept a life devoid of purpose. But each year there's a ball, I do love a ball scene, where wardens are allowed to try and convince the students to make a different choice. But a warden hasn't attended the ball in years, so Lexa is very surprised when every single warden shows up for her. But we have the envious warden of the Court of Shadows, who is known for getting exactly what he wants, by any means necessary. And right now, he wants Lexa Cromwell. After seeing her unusual and frankly impossible court test, he's like, I need her, I want her, she is mine. Lexa's torn between all the most powerful members of the court, but she has one burning question. Why do they want her, and how far are they willing to go for her? Chef's Kiss. That synopsis is like Chef's Kiss. I'm so excited for this one. I really hope I get to it during Smut 10. And there we have it. That is my current fantasy romance TBR. This is always changing and growing. As I learn my taste more, I learn more authors I'm interested in. I should say I did not include sequels on this. Obviously, I can't wait for the sequel in the Serpent and the Wings of Night, the Crown and Nyaxia series, like when I get the 3rd book for this duology, to die for. Also, the sequel to Fourth Wing, cannot wait for. Also, of course, I'm a Court of Thorns and Roses fan, so whenever we get another book in that series, I will be excited, as well as From Blood and Ash. I'm still in the middle of reading that series. And we do have the 4th book in the Bridge Kingdom series coming out soon, and I'm excited for that. But these are like all the like starts, not sequels, but I just wanted to throw all of those on there as sequels that I am really interested in. Let me know down below if you have any other fantasy romance recommendations. I do want a good amount of like fantasy plot and fantasy world building along with the romance. I think Curse of Broadbent's part of like Equal, and as well as Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, those have like the perfect amount for me of like a slow burn romance with a fantasy plot that makes sense and is prioritized. So I'm looking for more books like that. So let me know down below if you have any of those. Other than that, if you made it to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me an orange emoji, but like the fruit. I think there's a fruit emoji, right? There has to be. If there's not, just leave me the color orange emoji, like anything orange. And then if you'd like to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, and my Patreon, all linked in the description bar below. Have yourself an absolutely remarkable day.